Hi there, this is Jim the Keys bartender. I'm here in Key Largo. It is, what day is it? It's the 29th of October. We are, let me stop this here. We are coming back to getting into cooler months. It's not 90 degrees here in the Keys. There's not a ton of people running around, but you guys still have the AC running because it's humid as hell. That's pretty much it. But it's beautiful down here if you'd like to come and visit. And in a couple days, we'll have we'll have some kind of resolution. You know, I will. Since most of you, it seemed like most of you have voted. I'm guessing most of the listeners of this show in the United States have voted, and that's a good thing. The picture you see in the caption for this episode is a permit supposedly issued by the Freedom to Breathe Agency, which is total bullshit. Which I was presented last week with someone that says they don't have to wear a mask because of this. They download it and they didn't even laminate the card. But that's the card I got a picture of. I saw it before on Facebook, but I never saw it in person. It kind of reminds me of those things people get for their dogs. There's therapy dog certificates and in a vest and shit like that so they can come in. So, yeah, this person came in, downloaded, and came up real close to me to show me their card. And I said, first of all, nope. Don't come close. And second of all, that's not a real card. There's no Freedom to Breathe agency yet. And it says, if you look closely at it says that they are protected. The bearer of the card is protected by the American with Disability Act, and that the Department of Justice will issue fines up to $75,000 for people that would inhibit people's freedom to not wear a mask. Well, that's all well and good. That's nice. Why don't you show me a picture of your pilot's license? You know, something you get from TWA maybe years ago when TWA was still around. They used to give pilot's wings out. You say I'm a pilot, or you can have an astronaut certificate or a little Orphan Annie secret Dakota ring to show you belong to that group. Because to me, it all, they're all children. They're mainly, but the person that does help was on the card was not a child. Yesterday, I'll tell an interesting story. I had a guy, I thought it was interesting. Two guys came walking in, and one guy didn't. And they come walking to the table, and he goes, "Oh, I just took off my mask." And I said, "Well, that's great. You just came in. You know, you didn't have to wear a mask all that time you were wearing it prior to this, but actually coming in the door, you have to be wearing a mask." So I said, "That's doesn't make sense. You know, it's like." I was naked before I took a shower, and then I decided to put your clothes on. You know, that's ass backwards. The mask goes on before you go inside, not when you're outside. You know, I guess they're thinking of Key West. It gets totally screwed up. But the guy, I recognized the guy. He was a local. So he said, I just took my mask off. I'm like, well, go back out, put it back on, you know. And you need to have one with you. If you're going to walk around, people do that all the time. They just don't want to walk around with the mask on. But that's the rules of Monroe County, just so you know. We can come down here. And if you do have to make a political point of not wearing a mask, do it where you live, not down here. I apologize if I'm not that friendly, but you go to a local ordinance. If, let's say, you were going to Tombstone, Arizona in the 1880s, and the one of the ERPs came up to you and said, "I'm sorry, you can't carry a gun inside the city limits because there was too many gunfights going on. So you you could either choose to give up your gun or you get into a little gunfight with the Earps and Doc Holliday and all that stuff. See how that works out for you. But yeah, if you wanted a gun, don't come to Tombstone. If you don't want to wear a mask, don't come to the Keys. That's easy, right? So this past weekend, I had another interesting call. The call was from a gentleman, and the exact call was, "Hi, are you busy tonight? Or is it busy there?" So no, it's not busy. So you're saying this is the other side of the phone. So you're saying there's no one there? No, that's not what I said. What I said was it's not busy. Well, how many people are there? Well, more than two and less than 30. Now, I'm behind the bar. I don't know who's out on our patio in the back and who's in some of the rooms I don't see fully. So I gave him my best one. He goes, "Could you just tell me exactly how many people you have?" And I said, "Well, could you tell me why you're interested in knowing how many people you have? Because, just tell me what you want. I can tell you. Do you want live entertainment? Do you want this? Do you want that?" The guy says, "I want to know how many people there are." And I go, "There's 18 people here." Yeah, that's what I said. There's 18 people. And the guy hung up then. So, but we had some speculations for it. One, the most the the closest one I got, I was thinking it was someone perhaps who worked at another bar, and they were surprised that it wasn't so busy. And it wasn't very busy. I think it was Friday, Saturday night. We didn't have that many people, but we did have an early rush. So I thought maybe it was another place, and they wanted to explain. This past weekend was supposed to be the singer-songwriters event in Key Largo. I guess in the Keys. It wasn't just the Key Largo, because they had in other places perhaps. Or it was in Key Largo. But it wasn't really that rigorously attended. And why not? Why wouldn't it be? People, a lot of these guys who have these jobs do it part-time, and they didn't have a lot of extra gigs to play, and they doesn't make sense for them to show up at these festivals right now. And then you have the people that come down. A lot of people that come down are coming down from Miami to get away from some of the restrictions there. And then we have the people that short-termers, the people that come in, they aren't planning vacations long in advance. They're just doing it at the spur of the moment using online apps and things like that, which is great. It's a great time to do it right now. But that's where we had 10. I also thought that could be like a more nefarious reason that why someone would want to know how many people. Maybe the guy is a very specific mass murderer, and he needed to have a certain amount of people, and he didn't need extra. So he probably, maybe he wanted to go in there. That's very dark. Okay. Well, maybe the person wants to be the only person in the restaurant. I feel like a big shot. He sit by himself in the middle of the room at a table and just get served. But since this pandemic, we've had tons of weird questions. We've had people ask for whether we had live entertainment, and we're an indoor venue. We do live entertainment, but not so much since the pandemic, because a band takes up space and then it crowds the remainder space, so it actually takes away from your capacity. And live music is usually for driving occupancy. So if you have live entertainment, your hope is that you draw in more people to pay for the entertainment. And restaurants and bars do it because there's multiple reasons why you do it. One reason is if you're a venue that attracts good acts, that you get people that come in just to listen to music and stuff like that. You have a bar and you have people come in for a couple hours and listen to music. They order some food, and then hopefully you defray the cost of the band by the people that are coming buying food and drinks. Now, if you have a $300 band and you don't have 30 people providing $10 of profit per person, that's $10 profit, not $10 gross, which is like 2 drinks. You have to actually buy like 4 drinks, for some people, or maybe some food and things like that, and that defrays the cost. Now, when that needle doesn't get moved, let's say on a Friday night, and let's say you were going to get 100 people that night, 110 people come in that night to your restaurant, and you have a band, and instead of having 110, you have 125, and some of those coming in, they have like 1-2 drinks, and this is what happened on our Saturday night. We had a band, and we had some people just come in for the band, and I think there was a table of 7 that came in. There was 3, 10, and maybe 12. We may have had 15. We may have close, and we may have profited. I think we're still kind of in the hole from the live music and stuff like that. But then we didn't lose anybody from not having the space, so that's a good thing too. But that's the math you do for in a restaurant where there's live entertainment. If you had a musician coming in, you want to be able to make more because of having the musician than without. So if you didn't have the band, would you still have 110, 115 people, 125? And if your answer is yes, we still would have 125, or we'd have 110. Your answer may be, well, that's not enough to really. If you're talking about 15 more people, and lucky if they make $10 per person, probably not. Probably more like 5 instead of 75. So that's all the things. You think, we just have entertainment just because. And when people come from dining from one of our other rooms into the main lounge, and then they stop and listen to the band, well, that's nice. But unless they're having more drinks and food and stuff like that, that doesn't mean anything to it. So if someone's walking out and big party of 8 that ate there anyway, and we're going to eat there anyway, doesn't matter. So there you go. And it works for any place, I imagine, whether you're in Alaska or the Florida Keys. You don't want to fucking spend a lot of money for entertainment if no one's coming in. You ever seen the movie Yes Man? Jim Carrey, and I think it's Zooey Deschanel's in it. And she has a band. In the middle of it, he got a flyer at the beginning of the show, he got a flyer from the band, and he goes in, and there's Zooey Deschanel with her band. I forget the name of the band. Had a great song, though. She had a great song. I'm Not Your Late Night Booty Call, I think it was. And they had maybe 8 people there standing all, and this is a 4 or 5 year old, maybe 6-year-old movie, and people are all spread out, kind of socially distant. It's kind of funny because she goes and thanks everyone that came to see the band, and I think they had the same number of people come and see him as they have had members in the band. Just think of that. If you go to a place and your family, if there's 25 people or 30 people listening to a band, and 8 of them family and friends, right? That really means there's 17 people coming to see the band. Bringing your family in doesn't really do much to you. So I'm contemplating not retiring because I work in the industry. I have not been a harbinger of my resources that well. That's Hence, I'm doing a podcast. I'm 57 years old. I'm a bartender and a spin instructor. But there's a lot of people down here in the Keys and in other parts of Florida where retirement is a big deal. It's a big part of the community. When I say it drives the economy, retirement drives the economy down here. What do I mean by that? Meaning people come down to retire, purchase land, they live, they purchase things, and that drives the economy. Now, people in the act of retiring does not drive the economy. Just think of that. Retirement is its way you just build up, you work your life, right? And it depends on how you view labor, your job. If it is something to be eschewed or not something you want to do every day, then retirement is that goal for you, where you get to do nothing or get to do whatever you want, meaning golf, bird watching, stamp collecting, whatever, growing, making your own tea, pottery. I'm thinking scrapbooking, or what's that stuff where you do the patches for blankets, whatever, when you sew. A quilting. If you become a quilter, you can become a pet groomer and all the stuff. Just whatever your pastime, or just sit and watch television, play whatever goofy game it is. That's your choice. But to see it as an aspiration for everyone, I've seen life, and I can see the life. I'm considering, let's say the Villages is a couple 100 miles north here, about 300-400 miles north of Key Largo on the mainland center of the state. And I know a little from what my parents are going through too. So they have their activities and the things they do. But a tendency is to do things that other people are interested in these communities. So if it's shuffleboard, a big shuffleboard thing where you use the big handle to put it, they're interested in bocce. That's the thing, Pardon me. And that's a non-COVID cough. But I was watching a movie, and a person who was, it was a movie, it's a TV show, a limited series, where someone's a grandmaster chess player, and they're playing against someone who's like 11, 12 years old, and he, in a couple of years, he's going to be the greatest chess player in the world. I guess it was a take on Kasparov or one of the guys, like Eddie Fischer. So the person they were playing says to him, when you're going to become the greatest, you're going to be the greatest chess player at 16 years old. What are you going to do after that? What do you do after that? You think of that. Imagine you reached all your goals, your main goal in life, at such an early point, such as, let's say, a gymnast, Mary Lou Retton. I mean, there's Nadia Comaneci, there's Olga Korbut, there's all these people, Dominique Swain, I think it is, Kerry Strug. They reached a point like 15, 14, 13, 16 years old. They reached a point again in gold, perfect scores. They got the thing, and that's it. Age is against them, so they rarely do they repeat that. Sometimes they do. Justin Bieber, let's say a guy like that, singer. Once you hit it, little girl on America's Got Talent who does the puppets, and you get your $1 million prize, and you get it when you're 12, 11, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. You get the idea. What is your goal after that? What can you do? Whatever will you do that will match that? Think about it. you've reached the pinnacle of your career. That's it. So, um, what was the guy? Mark Spitz won 6 or 7 gold medals in the Olympics. At the time he won, he set the record for it, but in swimming. And for years, he, after Mark Spitz won that, you knew the name Mark Spitz, but what did he do after that? I think he became a dentist or something like that. But then years later, he decided, well, he did all that at such a young age. He wanted to go back, and he still was a strong swimmer. It was world class, maybe not world record holder, but he was up there. And I don't know if he medaled at all when he went. He returned years later. He skipped a couple Olympics, and it was quite emotional for him. But it is a long way down for some of these people when they hit the tops of it. They're any child stars. Whoa, Drew Barrymore's drinking at 10 years old. Everyone, these cute little kids they put into movies and stuff like that, and then they have their big hit, and then the kid in AI, or what was that movie? The little kid in Sixth Sense. He turned out to be a big weirdo. It's just what trajectory? If your trajectory in life, you go and hit your peak right then. Where is it possible to go? Now, some people, I know there's a story out there where someone's done Mozart. He you said, wow, the kid's playing 6 and 7 years old can play a concerto and all this stuff, but he's also designing. He ended up dying young, but I think he ended up on top. Dying young. James Dean died young. Some people have their second acts. Johnny Cash, to name one. Betty White, here's one. But a lot of times when people hit it early and then they go about Kurt Vonnegut. Kurt Vonnegut wrote his classics and disappeared. And he showed up years later in a Rodney Dangerfield movie, Back to School. And Kurt Vonnegut shows up to write a paper. I think it was Slaughterhouse-5, right? Is Kurt Vonnegut Slaughterhouse-5? This is how. But I've always lived my life under the thing, I did not, by design, choose not to peak too early. I did not choose that. If I could have peaked early, I would have peaked early. I don't think I peaked yet. I hope not. I didn't hit it at such high points yet that I can look back and say, hey, remember that year, blah, 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 I did that. Well, they're all different years. There's the years I drank, the years I'm sober, the years I'm bartending, the years I'm selling, the years I was, single, years I'm in school. I haven't hit that point, but I can't just imagine those days when I'm looking back at what I used to do. When you talk to someone who's retired, a lot of times the first question is, what are retired from what? I used to be a doctor. I used to be an engineer. I used to be a nurse. I used to be a teacher. I used to be a police officer. All those things. We have down here, we have people that are fishermen that some people wish that they would do in retirement. So maybe they're living their dreams, these boat captains and things like that. Or perhaps, there's people that I've known that are really, the older guys are bartenders. There's a couple of them, guys and girls, and they had some pretty interesting jobs that weren't in the service industry prior. There's at least one paralegal I know who's retired, and she works down in one of the resorts down south and in Hawks Cay. But it makes you hesitate to think, what am I going to do with the rest of my life? How do I view every day that I get up? if you're working so hard. If you really hate your job, then retirement is a godsend. But if it isn't, if your job is your socializing, your first of all, mainly employment is your income, but then it's also your social life, your means of finding meaning and value in life. You define yourself that way. If you weren't that person, if you weren't the Pilates instructor, what are you known as? The person who works in the garden all day? So, before you think of retirement, I'm just suggesting maybe we should look about the things we should want to do. And instead of just retirement, you could be retiring, you could be leaving a place. Instead of calling retirement, I'm transitioning. I'm going from doing this job. Let's say maybe I'm a CPA or investment counselor. But what I really wanted to do was get involved in horticulture. So you could work at a big nursery or a small nursery. I really wanted to be a farmer, or I would really like to raise alpacas or llamas or whatever, shit like that, for their fur. That could be a goal. It's not retirement. It's just like when people say, I retired and I did this. I retired and I own a bed and breakfast. Well, you didn't retire. I left my job. I left my job and then I became a innkeeper. That's more like it. Because retirement sounds like you're just kicking back eating bonbons all day. Geez, on my day off, if you looked at me, you'd think, oh, what is he? Was fucking guy retired? Yeah, I enjoy doing that. I enjoy doing what I do. I enjoy going to work. I'm not looking forward to the day that I don't have work. Because if I don't have work, that could be two things. It's either I was let go from my job or I can't physically perform it anymore. Now, if I get the third one would be voluntary. If I said, well, I was done with doing that job and I decided to do something else. That is a much more enriching experience, isn't it? You don't want to be told you can't do your job anymore, or you're too old for your job, or someone's younger. Just imagine, if your life is like a football game and you're super successful. Let's say you're an attorney, a tax attorney. You work for a big firm. And you just had incredible bill hours. You made partner. You got all this money, and you ran up the score. It's like a football game. You ran up the score. It's 58-2, or 3 actually. I don't want a safety. I'll give it a field. Give them a field. 58-3, and there's 12 minutes left the game, last quarter. Some people may say, "Hey, take you out of the game. You're the quarterback. Put in this other guy who just got drafted last year, give him some experience. Let him get some." It's the kind thing to do. But you're on a roll. You just threw 7 touchdowns. Threw for 7 touchdowns. Right? 49 points. And then the rest guy can be rushing touchdowns and whatever field goals got you to 58. And, sometimes you just want to finish the job you had. So listen, I would just want to see how I would do. I want to consistently do. I want to get your numbers up too, right? To see how well you can do. Do you when you're riding high and just crushing it? Do you just want to sit back that day? I think not. I understand the point of bringing in someone to be experienced. I understand retiring to let people have jobs. But we have more people working, more people doing the things they want, then there have more people spending money and reviving the economy, stuff like that. That's what you need. More people employed, less people not employed. The more people working can increase the size of the economy. Yeah, I realize manufacturing is disappearing. Then there's service. There's technology. There's maintenance. There's all sorts of things that you could do. But I look forward to always wanting to be up the next day and having a goal. And that's the main thing. And I'm not saying that retirees don't have that goal. I realize retirees have goals too. They do things. They volunteer. My father volunteered for years until he physically wasn't able to. And some people, when they're physically not able to do anything, they don't thrive. So we got to watch that too. Okay, well, later on today at around 2 o'clock, I may have a special guest on. It'll be a live show, I think, starting at 2. And I will tell you about it later. It'll be a very special guest, someone from overseas, if it works out. Otherwise, you won't hear it. But I'd like to thank you for listening. Please share with your friends the Keys Bartender Podcast. It's not always about the Florida Keys, but it is always about things we talk about in the bar. And if you have any questions about bartending or anything like that, please send me an email. My email address is jim@keysbartender.com. And you also reach me at my phone number, which I have posted on my website. And that's www.keysbartender.com. I'd like to thank everyone for listening. Please come back, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. Here's the big send-off.